Welcome everybody to a Get Some Games video game review discussion. I'm Sean and I'm here with Matt Demaz, our first special guest here on Get Some Games.
About time you buddy put me on here.
And as always, my partner in Get Some Games, Ben.
Hey, what's up?
What up? So today we are doing our very first video game review for Star Wars Battlefront. We do reviews a little bit differently. These are getting at least more popular now, but we're not going to slap a score on it at the end. This is just a straight up discussion of the game, what we like, what we don't like, and then you can form your own opinion based on that. We're not going to just slap a 5 or an 8 or any kind of score at the end of it. So if you like that idea, please check us out on YouTube right here and subscribe to us so you get anything and everything that we do, because we're always putting up brand new content, including a weekly podcast of all things video games. So let's get to it. I want to start by saying I enjoy this game very, very much. So just to get that out of the way now.
Yeah, there's a couple things I wanted to get out of the way really quick. The graphics, I think, are the best looking graphics I have ever seen on a video game. And two, the sound design is perfect. So
I would agree with. I think the environments look better than anything I've ever seen before.
The environments, I should say, because the faces are a little not great, but.
Yeah, I think they're still great, just like in comparison and compared to other games that have come out this year, like the Order 1886 and games like that. I think the character models look better in those games, but environmentally, 100% agree. This game is beautiful.
Environmentally, I was stunned. This game has very high production values, at the very least. So that's a huge positive in its favor right off the bat. I do like this game as well. You seem like you might like it a little bit more than me, so. Why don't you tell us what you like about it?
I think just coming at it from a gameplay perspective, they've said from pretty much the beginning that this game is an online multiplayer shooter. Like, that's what the game is at its core, at its everything. So you come into it expecting to just do like match after match after match. And I think just from gameplay to gameplay, like what you expect to do match after match and just how everything feels and the presentation that you said, I think they nailed pretty much everything that they were going for. And
yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, whether or not the content is there, I think just from a pure fun perspective, I think they nailed the making me want to come back and play over and over and over and over, at least for the time being. Because I know gameplay isn't everything that's needed in order to bring people back for as long as they'll want them to be coming back.
Yeah, I mean, you can have the best core game, but if there's not enough there to support it, then it'll wear. It's a different kind of game, I think.
Exactly.
I think with these types of games, you need a lot of variety, because there is no central goal other than to win each match, you know? So it's different in the way that you approach it. So, Demaz, what did you think about the game?
Man, I've played the PC version, and for what I can tell, it runs really well. The graphics are gorgeous. Voice acting is okay. It's just the story and
the voice acting. Oh man, I think it's like, it's okay except for Darth Vader. Darth Vader.
Yeah, I couldn't fucking understand.
Oh my god! If there was an option to turn off the voices, I would do it, because I really hate the voice acting for Darth Vader.
It sort of grates of the ears a little bit. Look, I think like. With all the Call of Duties and Battlefields, you know, this game is really relevant currently, and you know you'll get a hardcore player base with it, playing it for years to come, but you know those types of people that play like Team Fortress and Counter-Strike and whatnot, it's got the core values of being a really good online game. But with the whole, when you're just buying it for the single player or whatnot, you don't really care for multiplayer. You're going to be unfortunately disappointed. PC, PS4, or Xbox One, or whatever platform you're playing it on. There really isn't that much of an appeal to the people that require interaction with nobody but NPCs, because what you're going to get is really bland cutscenes, really short stories, and pretty much you could complete everything in like a few hours. Like, I'm not even kidding. I've heard some people say they've done the main campaign and everything in like 3 hours, which is a bit unfortunate, but the online aspect of the game is still there, and that will most likely extend the lifespan of the game, But, you know, why isn't there a why is there no Rainbow Six Vegas 2 but Star Wars? I mean, the game makers, you need money. They have to cut corners sometimes, and unfortunately, they have to focus their projects onto something else other than what everyone wants. And when you finally get a chance to do Star Wars, that's when problems happen, because you got so many people that are so critical about the Star Wars universe as a whole, let alone the computer games, that as soon as you release a computer games, people are always going to have something negative to say about it, even if it's really subtle, like the story being trash, and people will go out of their way to talk about the game being garbage as a whole.
I wouldn't say that's subtle. I would say that's a pretty... Well, we've seen historically so far that online-only games don't have that much longevity as much as you think they would. I think it has more to do with
on the Wii
U. Yeah, I would say it has more to do with the taste it leaves in people's mouths. Charging $60 just for multiplayer.
The unlock system isn't actually that much of a grind, but like when you're losing interest in the game, it certainly comes across that way. You know what I mean? It's like, how can I say this? You could view your ping with the console commands. You could be on the local server with like, I don't know, 50. And it might put you in a server with a ping of 300 and it's unfucking playable. I mean, it's just shit like that which makes the online really unbearable. I mean, the matchmaking is bad. It's no migration once you're in a lobby. The graphics wise, it's just really stunning. But it looks great. But I just hate how aiming down to me it just feels like it removes control when you aiming down sights instead of guns with variations. It's just like I really miss gadgets like in classes from like games like Battlefield. The core mechanics just seem really basic, but and let's not even get into the fucking grenades. I mean, what were they thinking with the cooldown on those things? I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, one of my biggest complaints. Yeah, go ahead.
One sec. I wanted to clarify DMS's comment about the matchmaking. That's for the PC version. I have not experienced those problems on the PlayStation version.
Oh well, yeah, I know that it rarely happens on the PS4 version. I'm just gonna make that clear.
Yeah, I've had zero problems with connection or anything. I think DICE is like, it should be applauded for this game at least. Yeah, it's sad that we have to like even congratulate this, but in 2015 they put out an online multiplayer game that works like almost perfectly on day one. Yeah, I've been like on minute one.
I've been
on a fucking console, and that's pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, and I've been playing a lot of Black Ops in addition to this game, and the online complications with that game are obnoxious. Like so many just like. Once you're in a game, it's fine, but all the random disconnections and servers.
Yeah, it's almost as bad as GTA 5. Like seriously.
But what were you gonna say before, Miller? I don't know if.
I was gonna say, just to backpack off of what Dimas was saying, probably from just a gameplay perspective, my biggest complaint of this game is the lack of classes or is the lack of gadgets and things like that, where it's basically just everyone is the same and there's. Like it makes for barely any teamwork, like especially on what's it called, Blast, which is basically team deathmatch. Like it's just a chaos of like 16, I think, players running around and shooting each other. There's no teamwork, and once you get into different game types like Supremacy or Walker Assault or things like that, people start to work together a little bit more. But there's only like 12 main blasters and there's hardly any gadgets. Like you have different things you can do, like you can decide, I want to use these grenades and have a jump pack or something like that, but everyone basically plays the same, so it feels like there's little need to like really work together as a team. And especially with no voice chat in the game, which I think is actually a good move on their part, it's like I feel like I'm just in a huge battlefield with 40 other people and they all have their own agenda, and that isn't how I want the game to feel.
Yeah, I mean, you have people that don't go for the objectives, and it's really annoying. But the biggest issue I see with the core gameplay itself, because I think that they got the feel of it right. Like it feels good to shoot stuff and move around. But what I agree about the gun selection and the variation, because At first, I was like, okay, we're gonna get like tons of guns, and we're gonna be able to customize them, and they're gonna make it more like Call of Duty and Battlefield in that sense, and that's okay because we'll take out the classes from the original Battlefront games, and we'll do this. But really, we just have 11 guns, and they mostly feel the same. I mean, they're different, but they don't feel different, you know?
Yeah, they don't feel different in the sense where, like in Battlefield 4, you can have a shotgun or a sniper or a submachine gun or a light machine gun or an assault rifle. It's just like in this, it feels like you have 11 different variations of an assault rifle, kind of.
I mean, like
you have a laser blaster that some of the guns shoot slower, and that's what it feels like.
when have you ever seen a blaster reload in the shows or the movies? Never.
Well, it just like they overheat in the game, so I think that was a good choice.
Well, I guess that makes sense. But
Yeah,
anyway,
like you never have to
I-
reload or anything. But
I mean,
they have
I
the
played
overheat.
I played the last Battlefields for their vehicle stuff, and the game is too heavy towards infantry. It skews too heavily towards it. It needed a few more land vehicle options and maybe another type of air unit as well. I mean, I always found it underwhelming the amounts of vehicles, but if in Battlefield 3, 4, and Hardline, the overwhelming amounts of large vehicles and large battles made the games extremely boring, and it forced you to use weapons you otherwise didn't want to primary use. But the game modes that focused on squad-based combat made up for that easily. But it's that's how you balance it out, honestly. But with Battlefront, I feel like it just feels like it's bare. It was obviously rushed in development. There was obviously problems. There was obviously, there's always going to be issues, but I feel like if there's issues in a game and it doesn't really, really affect the quality of the game, I don't think it's worth really worrying about. But I feel like they really screwed up the story aspect and just the general way a game like this should be. I mean, you don't have to completely rip off Battlefield as long as you make your own take on it. I mean, just take inspiration from it. But just going all out, being nothing like it, is just one way to kill off a fucking, series, a genre of FPS.
Well, what this game feels like to me is if you took the original 2 Battlefront games, like 1 and 2, I know there was some on the PSP and stuff like that, but it feels like if you took those games and stripped it down to the bare essentials and then released another game, this is what that game would be. I have a theory about the creative process behind this game, and I have nothing to base this in any sort of fact or anything, but I think they did not have a long enough development cycle. I don't think that I think the graphic team and the sound team busted their ass for like 2 years or however long it's been since they announced it.
You have 2.
And
Almost 3.
And I think that they did not start working on the gameplay until like 6 months ago. Because I think that, some of the modes are really cool, like Walker Assault and Supremacy. I have my own problems with Supremacy, but as a game type, like in concept, I think it's a good idea. But it feels very shallow. I don't find myself having a problem putting the controller down, and that's not what I want with a game like this. I want to be hooked all day and be worrying about the homework that I have to do later or going to work, But for me, it wears quickly, and I think I made the right decision of taking a break from it and coming back to it, and it was really fun. It was like I just started the game over and hadn't played before, and it felt good to play. But I think there were some serious development issues. I think Disney said, hey, we want this game out before the movie. We want the Battle of Jakku to tie into the movie. The lack of prequel stuff, and it doesn't seem like they're going to add prequel stuff, though we don't really know, is extremely pointless, because if you've played the other Battlefront games, you're already accustomed to prequel stuff. And I think intentionally not using those aesthetics just to please a certain demographic of Star Wars fans is stupid, honestly. I understand if they didn't want to add it right away, or if they wanted to save it for a Battlefront 2, which is probably more likely than anything else, but I think there are some development issues through this game.
I 100% agree and think it's almost like I can't think of the right word for it, but it's like undeniable that EA wanted this game out right now. And like it had to come out before episode 7. This Star Wars hype can't happen again, really. Like I guess if they take another 30 years off or whatever, it could. But like Star Wars hype is at its peak right now, so they wanted the game out right now. Like sure they could put it out next year, like after episode 7, but like it's undeniable that this game was rushed because they wanted out this close to episode 7, and they focused. DICE knew that going ahead, like ahead of time. Obviously they knew, like EA probably said like, all right DICE, we have the Star Wars license, we need a game to come out in November of 2015, make that game. So DICE, they know how a game development works, obviously. So they focused on making the game itself and getting everything right, and then the content suffered because of that, and it sucks. But that, like, it's almost undeniable that that's got to be what happened.
I feel as if that they got the core gameplay and the graphics and sound design just right, and then everything around it that like makes the game good. It makes the game excellent, I should say, is something that fell by the wayside immensely. The modes almost feel slapdash. Like I really enjoy what was it? The pod drop one.
Droid run.
No. The pod one where the pods fall out of the sky and then you seize the pods.
Yeah. The game the game type from the beta.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm having a brain fart too. I can't think of what it was called.
Basically, it feels like they got the graphics and sound design correct, and then they got the core. If you strip down Battlefront 2 or Battlefront 1, and then you get this game to its core mechanics, and then it feels like the content around it and the modes kind of fell by the wayside. I really like the pod drop mode. I also really like the heroes versus villains, which almost in a weird way feels like the most last minute idea out of all of them, but by the same token, it's my favorite mode. I think it's really fun. That said, playing as Han and Leia is not as fun as playing as any of the other characters. I mean,
yeah, whenever I pick up a hero token in like supremacy mode or something, I always pick Luke or Vader.
I like the characters Han and Leia in the movies, but I was never like, wow, it'd be fun to play them in a video game. And I know that the other Battlefront games had this too, but it's like wielding a lightsaber is like 30 times as cool as shooting someone. Or shooting someone with electricity.
Can I just vent here for a second? I have seen the worst of this game, and I can tell you now. I mean, I know I said the grind wasn't too bad, but now that I think about it, it is pretty awful. The equipment grind.
Can I say why? Can I say why I think that is real quick?
You don't get decent gear until like rank 13, you know, for the jetpack. And you've got all these people running around with the day 1 unlocked Han Solo freaking blasters,
you know. Yes. Oh
rank
my
25, by the way.
Every
and the
other
ridiculous
death.
grenade spam. The grenade spam just pretty much ruined it for me. You know, the first thing someone does when they see an opponent is toss a fucking grenade. You know?
Yeah. Probably 8 out of 10 times I die is from a grenade or from the DL-44 Han Solo.
But, you know, other than that,
bullshit that people paid $10 for.
The people that do play fair, it's enjoyable to play with. Like
it's
my
not
friends,
their fault.
for example.
It's the EA's fault for.
Yeah, I'd use it too if I had the money.
Pre-order incentive. I actually got the deluxe version, but I didn't input the code yet. So.
Oh, you should hop on that. You'll probably like the game a lot more because you'll play a lot better.
I was
the
wondering
gun is badass, and I can't wait till I get to level 25.
I don't think that the unlock and reward system is very rewarding because there's not that much to get, you know.
Yeah, I'm playing this game purely off of because I think it's a hell of a lot of fun. Like and it sucks. I don't feel like upgrading my guy sucks. Like I kind of care about my KD, but I've never really been a KD guy in any game.
Yeah.
So like I'm playing it purely because I think it's fun, which worries me because I don't know if that'll keep me playing for longer than a few weeks. But it might though, so I don't really know.
There's some good stuff, but there's a whole lot wrong with this game. So we've kind of gone over this, but I don't think there's enough guns. Feels rushed. The guns lack variety. And what's with, I mean, 12 maps is like not a terrible amount, but, and I really hate to do this. And there's only 6 heroes, but there was like 30 maps on Battlefront 2 and like a crap ton of heroes. And
I'm guessing with the sequels they will go full on with the customization, probably add a lot more.
I bet Dice wishes so much that this was the first Battlefront game ever, because I think people would like it a lot more. And like, I mean, that's a bad thing to go off of, but I'm just saying. But like what D-Maz just said, like I would also bet quite a bit that Battlefront 2 is going to blow everybody away. And I think Dice, now they have their base game and they hear all the complaints, and they're, whether or not they have more time, like I think Battlefront 2 is going to be like freaking bonkers. I think that, like, it sucks that game's so far away, but
yeah,
I love that we got our core game with this one, and then now they can build on it, and it's going to be like Battlefronts in the future are going to be amazing. You can count on it.
I hate that DICE is catching some of the flack, because I don't think any of the problems with the game right now are their fault. I think if they had more time, we may as well just get into the most egregious part about this game. That has nothing to do with the gameplay itself. The DLC.
Yeah, the $50 season
is
pass
atrocious. $50, and you know that would be fine. I don't even mind a $50 season pass up front if it's like how they did it in Arkham Knight, where it's like superfluous story modes for other characters and stuff that they'll add later on down the line. But you still have like a core 30-hour experience there. With this, it feels like they charged me $60 for half the game, and then it's charging me 50 more for the other half, and then it still has less content than Battlefront 2, even with the DLC. So that in itself, I think, has soured many, many people's experiences, because you can't go into it. You almost can't go into it fully enjoying it now, because you're like, I feel like I'm being ripped off. And when you feel like you're being ripped off, I don't think you can get as much out of the game. You know, I was so excited for this game, and then when you go to it and you're like, okay, 4 planets, 12 maps, 6 heroes. There no single player, no space battles. You know, I wasn't even someone that really cared about space battles, but it just feels like all they've done is subtract. I don't feel like they've added anything to the game that makes it any better than any of the other Battlefronts. You know?
Yeah. Like, yeah, I agree with the game being rushed is what affected the whole thing, because they're still working. Like, I hate when people also assume that the DLC, that the season pass content is done. Like, that's totally not true. They are 100% working on the DLC right now.
I would really hope the DLC they add, like, in locations, specific costumes were appropriate, and just and the basic troops change their appearance depending on their locales. Even the stormtroopers, and Darth Vader's voice is just really strange. I mean, they should update like the actual voices and whatnot. That would be pretty cool.
Getting sound bites from the movies would have been better than that.
But maybe. the $50 season pass, I think if EA said, DICE, take all the time in the world that you need and put this game out when it's finished, let's say maybe it comes out next November, I think it sucks, because I bet every bit of content that's in that $50 season pass would have been on the disc for $60, 100%. And then we would have just got even more. So like,
if they announced, if they were like, okay, we have this because, let's be honest, we needed to get it out before the movie. That's why it's out right now. Then we'll give you the rest of the maps for free later. But I would not have been as irritated if they did that. But the fact that EA, it feels so scummy, and I think because it's Star Wars is why so many people are pissed off. And because we've gotten 2 Battlefront games that have so much content. I mean, you could buy Battlefront 2 just for the single player experience right now, and you'd get your $10 money's worth, So it just reeks of corporate scumminess,
Yeah.
I feel like they're attempting to exploit Star Wars fans, and I don't think DICE is. I don't blame DICE, because I think they've developed a good game at the core, but they just didn't. They didn't have enough time. They couldn't put all this stuff in the game, and it's not withholding content in the sense that it's already done. It's withholding content in the sense that all this stuff should have just already been in the game.
Yeah.
Like 110, I shouldn't need to pay $110 for an experience that's going to keep me engaged the whole time,
Yeah. Like, the only thing that, like, obviously everyone would love free DLC and all that stuff is great, but like, I don't know, and I know other game companies have done it, and because it's EA, people hate that I would defend them at all. But like, if they work on DLC for a year and they make no money out of it, like that's really tough to do. Like that's going to cost EA tens of millions of dollars.
Well, what I wanted to add is that has to be included in the budget of the game. Obviously, if they run out their budget and then they put out DLC for free, that doesn't make any sense. That's not a business model that works. But
yeah,
either they blew their budget and they used it very irresponsibly, which a lot of games have been doing recently, focusing way too much on the graphics and pouring all their money into that. You know, it just needs to be included in the budget. So it should have had a 2-year development cycle. They could have released the game halfway done and then released the rest of it as free DLC, but that should have all been a part of the initial budget, you know. That way they wouldn't be losing any money. But I don't know. The way they did it is just, it's a fun game, but at the same time, I feel like I can already feel myself losing interest. Like, it's fun to be sure, but I don't think there's enough there. I think a lot of the changes that they made were made out of time reasons and not out of what would be best for the game. Like, you can't just hop in a vehicle and go. You have to find a power-up card and pick it up. Like, you know, I think in the original Battlefront 2, a hero was a kill streak, and I think that would have been way better.
I don't think it was necessarily a kill streak. I haven't played the game in years, so
I'm not 100% sure. So feel free to fact check us in the comments. But
yeah, please do.
You know,
I don't think. Yeah, it wasn't. I definitely wasn't just like, oh, you've gotten 10 kills in a row, so you're a hero now. But it did have something to do with how well you were playing. And I get why they wanted it to be a pickup, because like let everyone have a turn, you know, even if you suck, you can still be a hero. Or if you're doing, sometimes I'm having a really bad game and then I get a hero token and that like boosts me up. Like being the hero gets me more kills, but then after that I just feel like I'm doing better just from like a boost of confidence, which is fine. But like with what you were saying with the vehicles, I agree that I feel like there's really, except for the ATST, I never feel like I should be in a spaceship or, you know, like a TIE fighter or something like that. I feel like there's really no reason, because it's harder to get kills. Like I can get 2 or 3 against other fighters in the air, but like I feel like if there was just air combat, I feel like there's no reason for me to ever pick up one of those.
I think the
I
air
need to
combat
vent again. I need to vent again.
Hold up. I think the air combat is straight up bordering on just bad. I played the fighter squadron mode. I was bored out of my mind. I didn't feel like anything I did had any impact on what was happening. I was just, it wasn't good. The game is beautiful. I feel bad for the art team because they did such a good job. It's one of the most beautiful games I've ever seen, aside from the character faces. But man, all right, go ahead, rant.
I'm really sorry, guys, but Hero Hunt is by far the worst mode I've ever played.
Is that the one where there's one hero and then? Okay.
It's it's literally kill stealing. You win the game. I mean, the fact that the next hero, you know, isn't determined to be the guy who, you know, deals the most damage, you know, is given the hero is insane. It encourages terrible, you know, terrible play, and where people sit back and wait for the opportunity to put a killing blow on giant health bar heroes. You know, it's just. If it was percentage based, maybe we would all work together and be a bit more duke it out for the entire life of the hero. Instead, it makes zero fucking sense to jump in early, except to feed, you know, the opponent hero. To feed the opponent hero, you know, it's as if we're guaranteed to kill you early on. It's so bad. I can't believe they play tested it and released it as it is.
Hopefully they fix that with a patch. Hopefully they fix that with a patch.
I don't think they have the time.
You don't think they? Yeah, I'm sure they can fix that with a patch.
They can fix it, but
I didn't really explain it too well. But you got the idea. It's just fucking shit.
They're supporting this game for at least 1 full year. So like they're not just gonna put out paid DLC. They're definitely gonna be listening to people and providing updates and like, you know, free patches and updates and things like that. So hopefully they gotta change grenades. They gotta either add like another 15 seconds to that cooldown, or they gotta like limit it to 1 per life or something. It's like grenades are a nightmare in this game. Especially the impact grenades, because you can't even run away from them.
A lot of the
and the spawn points are really bad as well. You know, I've died several. I've died several times on top of fucking charges and grenades just by spawning in.
Oh, I haven't had that problem. I haven't. It hasn't been any more egregious.
Well, I've been playing
other online multiplayer FPS.
I've been playing too much online multiplayer. That's why I'm mentally insane right now.
Yeah, I'm so glad. Speaking of that, I'm so glad there's no voice chat in the game. Like when you first hear that, you think, like,
God forbid we want to hear 13-year-olds yelling out "noob."
Yeah, like I'm so glad that I don't have to worry about going into a chat myself to mute everybody because PS4 doesn't just let you mute stuff unless the game specifically lets you.
Doesn't let you mute people saying.
The only time I ever want to talk to people in an online multiplayer game is if I'm playing with them. Like if I'm playing with D-Maz or Ben, like I would already be in a party with you guys.
Yeah, or if it's during GTA Heist where you have to talk to people.
Yeah, like I'm so...
As frustrating as that might get.
Especially since teamwork isn't really that important in this game.
No, it's not as important as I would want it to be.
Yeah, just like Destiny, it's not really... Just like Destiny, it's not really a huge priority for teamwork. You just got to make sure you don't die and revive yourselves over and over, basically.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've aired my complaints pretty thoroughly about this game.
Honestly, to be completely honest, guys. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
To be completely honest, guys, I have no real other issues with the game. I think that's about it, really.
Well, I think those issues are. I think it's fair to say that those are pretty substantial problems.
Yeah, I agree.
I wouldn't say they're game breaking. I'd still enjoy playing.
No, it's still fun, but
I still like ranking up and stuff.
Yeah, I just don't feel like it's $60 of game. I feel, and I don't think all games have to be 30 hours long. I don't think that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that the quality of those hours has to feel worth it, and I don't think Battlefront feels worth it.
Yeah. I agree that I obviously agree on all the content and blah blah blah. But like when it's all said and done, I'll probably have like 50 hours on this game because I already have 12, and the game's only been out. It hasn't even been out for a week. So like when I'm in 50 hours is way more than I put into a lot of other games.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna. I can't think of a good example right now, but 50 hours is a lot.
It is, but I think. Imagine if this game was the next Call of Duty and you took out all the Star Wars. You wouldn't like this game, I don't think.
A lot of people call the game Call of Duty with a Star Wars skin, basically.
I think it's still Battlefront. Like it still feels like a Battlefront game.
Obviously, there's people have never played a Call of Duty game or a Star Wars game.
They almost made it too shallow. It's just I don't know. They
made it easier for people to pick up and play.
I feel like the draw of this game is the fact that it's Star Wars. I feel like this would just be a generic shooter.
Yeah, the fact that it has it's Star Wars helps it a lot.
Yeah, it goes a long way.
That's fine with me though.
One last mode.
I never played the beta, but a lot of people were saying before the game came out like a couple months ago that they would obviously balance everything and add more content in the game, but they never done that.
They showed us. I thought for sure there'd be way more content. I was really giving them the benefit of the doubt. And then when you see those like comparison charts, you're like, oh my god, it's almost as bad as those initial comparison charts made it seem. From
the multiplayer is fun as hell when you're not getting fucking your ass beat by grenades.
I still kind of think it's unfair to compare it to Battlefront 2. Like some people make it seem like DICE just took Battlefront 2, like they took the game Battlefront 2 and then built what we have now on that. Like no, they built a game from the ground up, and this is what we have from it.
They do.
I still think it's unfair to compare it to Battlefront 2, no matter how many years ago that game came out.
I think it's unfair.
DICE is still.
It doesn't need to have as much content.
Really good developers.
Yeah, they are. It just feels like content was subtracted overall, and I feel like because it's Battlefront, if it had been a different Star Wars shooting game and they hadn't named it Battlefront, and they just did their own thing completely, I think I would have been like a lot less irritated than I am.
I honestly don't know why they wanted to get this game released before the movie. Why didn't they release the game next year after the movie?
And get all the characters from the movie, all the locations from the movie.
Yeah, exactly. That's why when
that's
kids,
what Battlefront 2 is going to be.
That's why when these kids, because you know how children are. When a movie comes out in cinemas, all these kids, they don't see it until like the holidays. They could have released it like after Christmas or during the holidays. It would have been fine. It wouldn't have affected its sales whatsoever.
Well, it's out
that
now.
Would have that would have gave them an extra 2 months to add the stuff.
Yeah, like, well, November and October are the prime months to release a game. They wanted it out like before the movie so people can go and see the movie and think like, oh, I like Star Wars, that was amazing, and then they want to go out and buy a Star Wars game, and Battlefront will be on the shelves right then and there.
I
And
mean,
then the
but
Battle of
that's why
Jakku
we
is
have-
coming out. That's adding 4 more maps, and then the season pass is going to add new heroes, probably Finn and Kylo Ren and whoever else.
It's adding
So,
4
like-
more maps. I thought it was only adding 1.
Oh, gee, I thought it was 1 planet, 4 maps.
Oh,
I mean, I know
that's way
that. I know
better,
that's
but-
why they have DLC. I know that's why they have DLC so they can add the extra stuff for the next couple of months. But I don't know. People wouldn't have been so disappointed, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real quick, I'm looking up the Battle of Jakku. So fill time or whatever.
Alright,
but
so-
I'm looking this up to get the.
Oh well,
numbers.
while Miller's doing that, I want to get into the supremacy mode real quick. I think
Yeah.
the idea of it is really cool. The fact that you can use vehicles, heroes, everything, and one ginormous map. But I think the problem with it is that when you die, you have to like run and run and run
Run.
to get
Run,
back
Gordy.
to get
It's
back
the
to the
policeman.
action. To get back to the action, and then it kind of, then you die, and then you have to do it again, and then again.
And then, my friend, you die.
The spawn with partner. The spawn with partner helps a lot, but a lot of the time you don't have a partner. So
Yeah.
I agree that it sucks. Holy
Anyone
crap, my
anyone
computer.
seen that Beavis and Butthead episode where he's like, and then, my friend, you die?
Yeah.
I don't
But,
know, it
yeah,
just randomly popped
Supremacy-
in my head.
Supremacy is by far my favorite mode, but I agree that running it sucks. But I have the jetpack now, or the jump pack now, so that helps. And if you have if you use the spawn with partner thing, that helps a lot too.
Yeah. Also, why can't you use heroes in team deathmatch?
Yeah, that's a bunch of garbage,
Like,
to be honest.
I feel like any of the modes that don't have heroes is really dumb. I can kind of understand for the capture the base ones, or capture the flag oriented ones, or you domination kind of. But I don't know, it was weird. One mode that I am disappointed is not in the game that I feel like they could have easily put in the game is the capture the location from the previous Battlefront games. That was my favorite mode, where you would have like 200 NPCs on each side, and then you would
Oh,
you
yeah.
would try and capture like different points on the map, and then whoever had the most by the end won. That mode was awesome, and thinking about it makes me want to pay $10 and buy Battlefront 2 and go play it and beat Darth Maul and Wreckface.
Yeah, Darth Maul was my favorite hero to play as in that. I can't find like just a press release or anything like that that specifically spells out what the Battle of Jakku DLC is.
I don't think that they got into it. I thought it was just a map, but I could be wrong.
It might be. It comes out in a week from when we're recording this, so or like 9 days. So we'll know then.
Yep. So, I mean, does anyone have any last thoughts? I mean, I think
Look,
I've said all about I want to say.
You know, I'm going to be really cynical right now. The nostalgia will wear off, and people will go back to Battlefield 4 or Rainbow Six Siege that will be coming out soon. You know, this will be the new PC fucking hardline with the barren fucking servers. Look,
I think
to be
you're 100%
fair,
right.
look, to be fair, it's an okay game if you like shooters and you like multiplayer. The group play is really fun. You know, I'll stay with it as long as I can until they fix the group play a little bit more. You know, playing with friends is a little bit lacking. The game has no way of organizing tactics, and that's really all that really brings it down for me. I don't really give a shit about the story and whatnot, to be honest.
Because there is no story.
There's no story, and I think the only reason there isn't is because of the time constraints. And at this point, they're like, I don't think you can really sell an online only experience for $60 to gamers. I don't think it works. Evolve, Titanfall,
No.
flat in their face.
Yeah, those games died as soon as they came out.
But
So,
Titanfall
no
matter
was
how good
alright,
they
though.
were.
Yeah,
I like
mean
Titanfall.
those games are good. It's just that
There's just no market for it.
yeah, you just I don't know.
There's
It's
no
very hard to explain.
attachment. There's no attachment to it. Like, yeah, I agree. The online, I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked if Battlefront 2 didn't have a single player campaign. But at the same time, EA is going to be putting out a Star Wars game probably every year. So like, they might think that Battlefront doesn't have to have a single player campaign. They might think like Visceral's going to have their single player game, and like, I don't know, Battlefront might never have a single player campaign, and they might just let their other Star Wars games tell stories.
This is why you guys need me on this podcast when I'm fresh, because I actually say useful things.
You've been saying useful things the whole time.
Yeah. I finally I've got
And
the
my sound
rundown
cut
of the
editing.
Battle of
Fucking
Jakku DLC.
All right, lay it on us.
All right. It says learn what happened at the Battle of Jakku, which precedes the events of Star Wars: The Force Awakens. 2 maps set on the new planet of Jakku, and 7 days early access for those who pre-order the game, and it's available as a free download to all players on December 8th. So yeah, it's one planet but 2 maps.
Yeah,
So-
that's cool. That's
So
nice.
yeah, for $60 we get 15 maps, 5 planets, 6. So like it helps, but I still,
Yeah, I mean, it's too many half-baked ideas here, and it's,
Yeah, exactly.
I chalk it up to time constraint and EA scumminess completely. I don't blame DICE.
Yeah.
If I were to recommend the game to anyone, I would say wait for the Game of the Year edition a year from now, with all the DLC will be in it for $60. Then buy the game.
Yeah. Hopefully the servers are still active then.
Yeah.
I mean, of course the servers will be active, but I mean, like, full. One super quick point on that. Funny or like a interesting stat. This game has sold more on PS4 than on Xbox One and PC combined.
Oh shit, really?
Probably because
Yeah.
PS4 version runs really well.
I think they all probably run well. I mean, this game is very high production values. Like the online is surprisingly amazing. Like in terms of connectivity.
There's no doubt that it completely utilizes the PlayStation 4's hardware 100%.
I didn't feel like I was killed by nonsense by server nonsense at any point.
Oh yeah, same here. I never feel like DICE screwed me over and that's why I died. I always feel like I died from something legit.
And what's shocking about how good the servers work is how awful Battlefield 4 was.
Yeah, DICE really learned their lesson and stepped it up. Like, I think this remedies all the crap that they got from Battlefield 4. I think, like, because this is perfect. This runs like this is the best running day one online game since Destiny.
Oh yeah, I was shocked. I was expecting to have all sorts of issues, and granted, it does have issues on the PC, but on the PS4, it looks like Xbox One, it runs pretty well. So, Miller, would you recommend this game for $60?
I can't just say yes or no, but in the end, after explaining, I would in the end say yes. I'd recommend the game.
If you are an avid Star Wars fan, I definitely recommend it because a lot of the things you know and love are in the game. It's not like there's nothing there. But like,
You have to know
if
what
you're
you're
not
getting.
if you're not a fan of the story, if you're not a fan of short stories, you won't like it. But you'll
Yeah.
like it for the multiplayer. Otherwise,
If you're going into the game for a single player experience, then like don't obviously know. If you know exactly what you're getting and you know that it's an online multiplayer game and you're comfortable with that, then I would say like yeah, go for it. I highly recommend the game.
I've put a good 15 hours into the game, and I think it's okay. So really, it's worth giving it a shot.
All things said, I personally would not recommend it at full price. Miller would. DMS says give it a shot. Do not buy the $50 season pass. I think
Yeah, I'll second that. Don't buy the season pass.
I think
No.
at some point we as gamers have to be like, all right, it's enough. I mean, we've been complaining about this season pass nonsense, these $50, basically bullshit, for a while now. But we have to speak with our wallets, and there's no
Vote
better
with
way to
your
do
wallet.
that. Yeah, vote with your wallet, and there's no better way to do that than to not spend your money on the season pass. Don't do it. We need to show EA that this isn't okay. You can't keep doing that. We need to show EA that this is unacceptable. Basically, bottom line, we're not going to pay $110 for the full game. There's a couple of YouTubers like Jeremy Johns who you've probably already seen this video if you're looking at Battlefront stuff, but he goes into detail about why he's not purchasing the game, and the egregious DLC policy is the biggest reason, and definitely heed that. So
All right, I think that about wraps it up. I'm glad I opened the video by saying that I like the game, because I think after you listen to this, you would say, like, how could you like this game? But I still stick with, I really enjoy this game, and, like, it's hard not to have the conversation sway towards the amount of content, because that's just, like, so prevalent and so, like, in your face, how much there isn't in your face. So,
well said.
so all right, that about wraps it up. Thank you, Matt Dimaz. Thank you, Ben, for joining me. Thank you guys for listening. Of course, if you love this kind of idea for a video game review, then Subscribe to us right here on YouTube at Get Some Games. Follow us on Twitter at GetSome_games, and check out everything and anything we do right here on YouTube. And until next time, we're out.